Welcome back to the lab. My big bald head. Yep, had another shave. Right, so this week was a bit shit. It's Saturday morning. I normally try and get something smashed up for you guys and have a go at trying to get it up online on Thursday. And it didn't happen this week. We lost our dog of 9 years on Tuesday. So that was pretty horrific, really. Horrific? Yeah, it was, yeah. So she had some sort of issue with her spine. Degenerative thing or whatever, cancer or whatever it was. Bit of pain and lost the use of her back legs. So the last couple of videos you may have noticed a little bit quieter as far as doggy noises goes. That was her slowing down a little bit. So won't be too much of that to put up with anymore. It's probably me that was more worried about that than you guys. So that's the way it goes. Made sure she had a good time on her way out. And moving on forward, we've still got a doggy. Don't be thinking you're going to jump the fence and get away with it. Not going to happen. She's probably going to tear you to pieces more than the other one would have, to be honest, because this one's still a very fit, healthy dog. So let's have a look at what I have managed to achieve this week. And probably not going to get this up today on Saturday because we'll see what happens. Hang on a minute. Let's swap the camera around. I banged up one of these things for a fellow super lapper. This is for Stuart Hill. This goes on the back of his little Honda Civic. Gave me a drawing and make it like that. It's welded just to keep the time involved in making it down, and it makes it's tidier in that you don't have nuts and screws and bolts and all that sort of carry on in these areas. These side fences, fins, vanes, whatever people want to call them. The fences technically being on a diffuser, but whatever. I've folded have a look at the far side, make it easier. Folded that edge over and then stretched that to give us our curve, and then welded those fences onto that. It gives us a really nice attachment, really good and everything. These ones here in the middle, a little bit harder to do something like that, so just did the real simple approach where it's just literally cut shape and welded straight onto this main skin, using an aircraft term, I guess, main skin. And of course aluminium will distort a little bit when you weld, so this might be a millimetre or two, probably not even two, yeah, probably a millimetre of distortion in those areas, but she's pretty good otherwise. So by the time it's fitted up under the car, you don't look at this face of it anyway. And I'm guessing he's probably going to paint it black or something like that. So, you'll only be looking at the back edge of it, which, no, I'm not going to try and do that with one hand. That'll be too hard. So he's going to organise his own bits and bobs to attach that to the car, and that'll be good. And you'll notice we've got something different happening here. This is our new workbench, work trolley thing. That carefully put this down here so it doesn't get damaged. We picked that up from the boys at Repco, re-engineered my actual workbench just a little bit. The space didn't normally come down to here, but I've done that just for tidiness. So, and this is all on, I've had to change them because they were slightly the wrong size to make it all work. This is all on casters. And I wouldn't normally do that with one hand, obviously. So that tucks away under there like that. And it's beautiful. That worktop's going to last all of 10 seconds without some form of protection on it. It will get yucky really quickly. I have used it a little bit already in things like this. Magnify that by 100,000. That's how yucky it's going to look. So we went and saw our mates at Collins Profile Cutting, who've got a big guillotine and a brake press. Bit of 3mm aluminium. Was a little bit reluctant to put something like that on that top of that workbench because that is going to be harsh in the sunlight. But that's the way it's going to be. So now we'll get this on here today. Once Stuart's come pick this up, we'll take this off. This mill keeps breaking. It's not broken at the moment, actually. It's going all right, so let's hope for the best on that. We'll take all that stuff off there. We'll get that bench top on there. I might weld some sides onto it to make it look nice, cover this in, and put a tab Actually, I won't need to. If I just put a side on here, and we put our welding clamp on there, and then we can just put things on the bench, and we can just weld them. We don't have to worry about the, sorry if you guys are getting seasick, we don't have to worry about this hanging off the workpiece that we're working on. Which will make things a heap better. You would have noticed in the past, I've always dragged out that little red trolley, which is now being put to use somewhere else. But either had that around here somewhere, or I've had sawhorses, which works quite well, you know. And I will still do that when I need to with other things. This is just it's a lot nicer arrangement. So there you go. We'll get on with that soon. Just wait for old mate Stuart to turn up, pick up that. Then I'll go have breakfast, a late breakfast today, and then we'll do this workbench. There we go, it looks right, eh? There's a few little scratches in it and stuff. It wasn't a perfect sheet of aluminium. We're not worried about this sort of thing. Give me 10 minutes on a job and there'll be more than that to worry about. That's alright, so it's actually same size. We'll call that a return. Same size edge, front, face, whatever you want to call it. That bit there. Same as that. So when I've demolished this side and it looks really yucky, I can actually just take everything off, flip it around the other way. Sure, there'll be a couple of holes from where the vise is over there, I guess, they end up. But that's fine. We can do that and it'll look beautiful again. Apart from if it's got seriously big dents in it, which it probably will have. I'll beat the snot out of it. Anyway, that's that done. Pleased to have finally done that. On the Gloria here, made this bash plate, guard, underbody panel, whatever, closing panel. Can we think of some other names? Made this thing to go under here, so when we run over all the politicians down in Wellington, they won't get their heads jammed up in the accessory belt. I shouldn't say that sort of thing, should I? Zombies. When we run over the zombies, we won't get their hands, feet, legs, arms, fingers caught in the belt. Really, it's more for possums, actually, let's be honest, when we run over the possums. Anyway, made also these little brackets here, which the car would have had originally. Not sure exactly where they would have gone, probably more like here or something, don't know, but it goes there now. That also holds this edge of the panel out just a little bit further than what it would have done normally, because with these big 19s on it, not a lot of clearance here, and if you don't hold those out, they were just touching on here on the tyre. So resolved. So there's one for each side. Obviously, yep, when you change the oil filter, you're going to have to take that one off. So there's a couple of bolts in there, strap on that, undo your oil filter. This is this guard I was talking about earlier on. I may actually just put a tab on here and onto here to stop this doing that and eventually fatiguing itself, falling off. If we were asked to put one in there, I always thought about doing it anyway, just so rocks and stuff don't blow holes through the oil filter. So we've done that. Under here, bit of the old titanium exhaust wrap, because the exhaust system does get quite close to the floor here, and things like rubber grommets tend to like catching on fire and burning through, and then they burn through onto the carpet on the other side of the car there, and next thing you know, your car's on fire. GTRs and Silvias and things like that, they love doing that at the racetrack with the, it normally lives up in here somewhere. The drain for the air conditioning is too close to the exhaust, gets hot, catches fire, fire goes into the car on the other side of the firewall, bad things happen. So that's that. I think about the only thing that I'm looking at under the car here and thinking they may want to do something with it is this brake pipe. I think it does have just the correct clearance from the exhaust, but I think I'll put a heat shield on that while it's on the hoist, and we can take it down. It doesn't really need to be on the hoist anymore at all for anything, and we'll be good to go. Alright, I've had my brekkie. Mr. Man's going to come and get his thing soon, so we'll do that. Oh, let's put something around here to seal that, stop dirt driving in there. That's a good idea. I'll do that. Right, wow, so it's like 11:15. I think it's Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. So anyway, yeah, it's Thursday. Trying to make some progress on this thing here. Hang on. This thing here, trying to make some progress on that. Waiting for LVVTA, who had their technical committee meeting on Tuesday. We should have an answer from them soon. The thing there right in the middle of your screen, the buttony, screeny thingy that makes the symphonies and all that sort of stuff for you to listen to. Just in the process of wiring that up. So that is now wired up. It needs an antenna, and it'll be good to go. I can push it in there and clip it in. All the RCA cables, you might see them through the window here. They go as far as there. I've got to poke those through to the boot. There's the remote wire for that there. Yeah, I spent a bit of time trying to find a spare tyre for this thing, but spare wheel. As it turns out, the customer doesn't want to run one. So, looking at this fuel system here, the way I've done that, I'm going to do something a little bit similar to mount, where are they? Those amplifiers there. I'll get those, I'll do something. I need to measure the width of them and all that, because they are pretty big. Make sure they're going to fit across here or along there or whatever. You know, they might be side by side like that or side by side like that. Do something, we'll tuck the wiring underneath a tray, aluminium tray with some speed holes in it and all that. Something like that. And then I did think about making a Perspex panel that goes in here so that you can see that. Then when the carpet goes over the top, it can have an edge around that, but that'll get all scratched up and yucky and everything, and it's not a show car. So we'll just make a piece of plywood that goes over the top of this. But if you lift up the plywood, it'll be all nice and pretty underneath there. So I'll get on to that. Look, there's no antenna. There wasn't one. No aerial anywhere on this car. You won't find an electric aerial anywhere. It had an AM radio in it, the original factory one, where we've put the modern one there, and it had a modern one mounted just below that center console section there. There's a whole lot of screw holes in the bottom of the dash where that was mounted, but there was no antenna on it, so they can't have been worried about that. They must just run CDs. So we found one of these, got this ordered, grabbed this, mounted it up on the inside. There's actually still the tape there. You see in the middle of your screen, tape on the windscreen. Mounted that up there, wired it up. It's only 2 wires. There's this braided wire as an earth, and there's a little black wire as the positive. Hooked it all up, turned the power on, and the positive wire started smoking up, getting too hot. Back to my ugly face. Oh, look. Oh, bench is looking messy again. So that wasn't very good. I was like, how do you get that wrong? 2 wires. Ground and power. I had 2 wires. Ground and power. That's where they were. I was like, maybe there's something going on with the antenna. Maybe there's a fault with the radio or something like that. So I disconnected it all, pulled it out, put it on the bench. We'll swap the camera back around again. This is going to make you a battery. I put the ground onto here. I put power on there, and the wire was glowing red hot, and the plastic was burning off it straight away. So, because it's this car, that's how hard this car is fighting me right now. We'll take that back. I'm not blaming the supplier, it's a manufacturer issue, and it does happen. Not everyone's perfect, but they should be able to do better than that, right? I mean, they should be maybe part of their QA process. It's just put power on it before it goes into the box and make sure it doesn't actually just almost try and catch on fire. If I turned the key on and walked off for a couple of minutes because the power supply is fused, it's for the internal fan on the car though, quite a large fuse, and it wouldn't have blown the fuse for that little unit. It would have just actually literally caught on fire and burnt to the ground. Could have taken my house out with it. So not happy, but that's the way it goes, and that's why you check these things. That's why you keep an eye on it. When you turn power on, you make sure the wires aren't getting hot and all that sort of shit. So I did that. They're like, do you want another one? And I was like, hell no, because it could be good to start with and put in the car, drive off down the road and go bad, burn the car to the ground. So I'll go and find an alternative and we'll get on with that. Then we'll swap the camera back. Then I've got to put these in the front doors. So that should be another little... We'll see how many curveballs it throws at me there. That's the stereo we're fitting to it, in case anyone wants to know. So that's actually all wired up, powered up. That works, like I say. Loving the new workbench and the trolley. It's bloody awesome. Look, I've started putting my electrical stuff in here. Well, this is bloody nice, you know. It's really good. You can tuck that away. Boom, a bit tidier. when I'm finished, these things go back in there. So, hello, Sammy. What are you doing? Hello. That's the one that's Where are you going? That's the one that's not in the garden, under the ground. So anyway, I'll take her for a ride. We'll take this thing back. Get credit on the account, whatever. We'll go and find something alternative. Even if I just get an aerial extension and then just pull the earth sheath off it, that'll do. That'll work as an aerial, and it'll go. It might not be perfect, but it'll do the job. We won't have to put holes in the outside of the car. Cool. Thunderstorms and rain today. Nice. That's reasonable size hail. Not a nice day. Alright, a little bit of a flood. I've sorted it out. Just a bit of water coming in through the front door. ZZ Tops, if anyone wants credit for that. Legs off the Eliminator album, I think it is. This is our rear parcel tray, which is in use some cool words condition. Absolutely, should I swear? Nah, it's stuffed, isn't it? It's not worth swearing about though. So what we're going to do is throw this in the rubbish bin after I've used it for a template. We'll make a new one out of plywood. Let's do it from plywood. I was going to say custom wood, but nah, let's do plywood. So it had a pair of 6x9s attached to it on some spaces. It was never going to last long term anyway, but it certainly didn't last taking it out of the car and putting it back in a couple of times. Look, the cover that's on there, the vinyl, which is pretty shonky as well, isn't it really? I was going to say we might be able to use that again, but let's not. Let's get some of that stuff. Oh look, it's no good at all. Let's get some of the stuff we used for the dash, for the instrument cover. Cowling? What are we going to call it? Yeah, it's cowling, isn't it? So I made that. So let's use some of that to do this, and it'll be good as gold. Get the speakers in there. Back here we've got... I had to take some of the interior back out again. You can see that big piece missing there for that rear panel. Too much reflection for you guys. There you go, that's a bit better. Speaker wires, RCA cables, etc. all run through there. And now we've got a bit of a mess in here with these are not attached to anything. Just hit the march. Sorry. So that's almost ready to go. Fun. I don't do stereo installs. Don't ask me. Unless I happen to be doing a really big job. Don't ask me to do things like this. I don't like doing it. Just being honest. Things like this, yeah, that's cool. Things like this, nah, no thanks. There you go. Look, I mean, I think I've made a big enough mess. There's the original one. That's all that's worth. That needs to go into a rubbish bin. Here's the new one. It's pretty good. It's not bad. Oh, listen to that old one crunching up. 1969 Gloria parts. That'll do. That fits in the car really nicely. Looks good. Much stronger. Speakers won't rip out of it and come hit you in the head if you slow down fast or have an accident or something. That's it. We don't have our duct for our rear window demist. I've deleted that. Basically, as you can see, that was stuffed. There was nothing for it to screw onto. Big job to make that work. Not worth the hassle. That will work. Not sure what happened with all the weather. Seems to have improved now. That's that. That'll do for now. It is Thursday. It is time to knock off, as you can see there. I'll get this in the car. I'll get the amplifiers all wired up. We'll see if the stereo works. That'll be that. LVVTA came back to us. Don't mind the mess on top of the car. It's just cloth. Car cover now. So they are going to fill us in. They wanted to know, make sure that it was 5-stud hubs. It is. They wanted a picture of the back of the front suspension arms, and that was it. So hopefully we're down to the nitty gritty, and we'll give them. I've sent that info. They've got it. Hopefully they'll peruse over that and be happy with it, and we'll get our paperwork, and this can go off and get a low volume cert inspection. That thing there, that's it's a rack for the carpet from this at the moment. That's the carpet for that, because it was on the floor over there and it poured down with rain, and this area over here started to fill with water. Yeah, that wasn't good, but we fixed that, so that's all right. That might be going to Pukekohe. More on that later. All right, cheers, boy.